So, what we're diving into today, it all comes down to a single hidden document. A whistleblower is claiming it's the key to blowing the lid off a massive conspiracy. But is it the real deal, or is something else going on entirely? Okay, let's get into it.
Just imagine this for a second. You get a call from an informant, someone you trust, and they tell you there's a nuclear weapon hidden somewhere inside your house. Now, obviously not a real bomb, but a piece of evidence so explosive it could take down a huge criminal operation. Well, that's the exact position a man named Reynaldo Aguiar says he found himself in.
On December 27th, 2025, he actually recorded himself saying this very sentence. You can almost feel the tension, right? He'd just gotten this absolutely shocking tip, a tip that kicked off a frantic search through his own belongings and made him question, well, pretty much everything.
So what exactly was this tip that got him so rattled? This is where the whole thing starts to feel like it was ripped straight out of a spy movie, starting with what this informant told him to look for.
See, the informant was incredibly specific. He didn't just say, look for a letter. No, he said this letter was written on something called onion paper. It's this really thin, almost see-through paper that burns up in a flash. You know, exactly the kind of thing you'd use if you needed to destroy evidence in a real hurry.
And the informant claimed the letter's true secret wasn't even in the main text. It was all hidden down in the footer. Supposedly, it had all the details for a secret numbered bank account in the Netherlands, like an emergency getaway fund for some kind of covert agent. So for 2 solid hours, Aguiar tears his house apart looking for it, and then he finds it. But not in some secret safe for a hidden floorboard. No, it was tucked away in maybe the most personal place you could imagine, a box full of his son's baby pictures. And this is what he says he found. We're not talking vague clues here. These are incredibly specific details. An AMRO bank account in The Hague, a Slavenberg's bank account in Rotterdam, complete with account numbers. These are the concrete, checkable-looking details that make up the very heart of his entire claim. Okay, so this raises the big question, right? Who is the man at the center of all this? Why on earth would someone plant a letter with secret foreign bank accounts in his home? Let's take a closer look at Reynaldo Aguiar himself.
This is from one of his book covers. That's Aguiar on the left, standing with the former president of the Dominican Republic, Leonel Fernandez. So, right away, he's presenting himself as someone who operates in these high-level international circles, straddling both politics and tech. And when you look at the credentials he lists, well, it's quite a resume. He claims he's a former Google search ranking engineer, he's an inventor on patents held by Google, and he's also a recognized political refugee. But here's the most critical part for our story. He has officially filed paperwork to be an IRS whistleblower. He's taking this through official government channels. Now, Aguiar is convinced that this whole ordeal, the informant, the hidden letter, the threats, it isn't random. He says there's a very clear motive, and it all revolves around a series of books he created.
He calls them the XisList, and he says he designed them to be just like the old-school Yellow Pages. The idea was to make the information super accessible, no special software needed, just a physical book you can flip through. But here's the kicker. Where did the data come from? Aguiar claims he took a massive 2024 data leak from Venezuelan intelligence and used his own algorithms to process it. And his goal? To map out and publish thousands of what he calls strategic addresses being used by a global network. And to give you a taste of what we're talking about, he points to this example. His algorithm, sifting through all that data, flagged 1111 Lockheed Way in Sunnyvale, California, the well-known address of the defense contractor Lockheed Martin. He just puts the question out there. What are the chances of that? So, as you can probably guess, publishing this kind of information, he alleges, kicked off a relentless and escalating campaign of retaliation against him. Let's just walk through the chain of events he lays out. The timeline he presents is, well, it's pretty stark. In March of 2025, right after he starts digging into addresses in places like Caracas, Beijing, and Moscow, his son is taken away. Then in June, he says there's an attempt to legally silence him with a gag order, but he goes ahead anyway. And in December, he starts publishing the XisList. And just a few days later, on New Year's Day 2026, boom, his publishing account gets suspended. And he's not just saying this happened. He points to this document as his proof. This is the suspension email he received from Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing. In his mind, this isn't some simple mistake or terms of service issue. He sees it as direct censorship, plain and simple, triggered by what he published. And all of this brings us right back to where we started, back to that strange letter he found in a box of his son's pictures. So how does that piece of the puzzle fit into his official role as a whistleblower?
Frikiyar, this letter is the whole ball game. It's that nuclear weapon we talked about at the beginning, because it's not just data on a computer. It's a physical object. It's tangible proof, he claims, of a secret financial network that he believes authorities can now investigate and trace.
And he's not just sitting on it, he's actively using it. What you're looking at here is a piece of his official IRS whistleblower submission. It's Form 21-1. And look at the boxes he's checked off: international/foreign transaction and undisclosed foreign bank and financial accounts. He's directly connecting the alleged contents of that letter to a formal complaint with the U.S. government.
So in the end, what are we supposed to make of all this? Is this letter the smoking gun, real physical proof of a shadowy global conspiracy? Or are these the actions of a man who is, by his own admission, operating under extreme duress? That right there is the central question behind the whistleblower's letter.